So I was watching this documentary on a guy who weighed like 800 pounds, and what was puzzling to me was the fact that this guy was bedfast. He could not help himself. He could not feed himself. He had to have an enabler or enablers to bring him food. And the question came to my mind, do these enablers not understand that they are contributing to this guy's morbid obesity? And when I say morbid, the guy eventually died. I mean, they were, in a sense, literally contributing to his death. Why did they do that? Why didn't they say, no, we're not going to bring you any food, go get it yourself? Well, he couldn't. So the enablers could have helped this guy control his obesity because he was eating, countless thousands of calories a day, not countless, but, enough to feed, I don't know, 6 people if they were skinny people, or 3 or 4 people. So what is it with enablers? Why do they enable people? And as I thought about it, I came up with an answer to my question. And I think one of the reasons they do that is because the person they are enabling, in this case a person with morbid obesity, was using a system of praise and criticism to control these people. When the individual, the enabler, did what the, what do you call this guy? A patient, I suppose, did what the patient wanted, he would praise the enabler. And if the enabler did not do what the patient wanted, he would be harshly critical to the enabler. Now, if it were me, I would say, nah, I'm not going to put up with you. This is not working on me at all. But then I thought about it. I said, I used to be an enabler. I was just like these people bringing food to this morbidly obese people, except I was enabling narcissists. Now, the reason I did that, and this is what we're going to talk about today. We've got 7 points here. But why did I do that? Well, number one was I was just blinded to the seriousness of the problem. And apparently that's true of any enabler. I hope so. Anyhow, I just didn't understand it. I didn't get it. So the narcissist that I was dealing with was nice to me, very kind to me. As the relationship, it was a friendship, as a relationship grew stronger, it also became more abusive. The guy would be kind to me sometimes, abusive to me sometimes, and I didn't realize that, I like being nice to. I like people being nice to me, this guy being my buddy, being my friend. And it bothered me immensely when he wasn't, so I was trying, unconsciously, had I thought about it, I would have, just walked away from the guy, but I didn't think. I was blinded. But the guy was very kind to me when he wanted to be. Took advantage of me, and I overlooked it time and time and time again because, well, I just had a dependency. This is codependency. I had a dependency on those moments when he was kind. So I was trying to reinforce, get on the guy's good side and stay on it. Of course, it's a cycle. You just can't do that. So the reason that people enable narcissists is because they're just blinded to the fact of what they're doing. Often they don't realize that this person is a narcissist. I didn't know that. In fact, at the time, I wasn't really into psychopathy and narcissism, and I wasn't that familiar with what it actually was. Well, once I finally got burned in the discard, that's when I started digging in and learning. Number two is, even though you realize the narcissist has a problem, one of the arguments we use to excuse the narcissist's behavior is that, just give the guy time. He needs to grow up. Maybe he needs some more life experience. Now, at the time, I was coming from a religious Christian perspective, and I would say, God is working with him. God will deal with this guy. He is a work in progress. Like a potter making a bowl. What do potters make? Yeah, they make pots. Okay, so the God is like a potter, and this guy is his pot. He's his lump of clay, and I need to stand back and be patient and let God work with him. Actually, what I was doing, this is for those of you who presume there is a God, what I was doing is I was working against God by enabling this guy to stay a lump of clay. I didn't realize that. So that whole idea about being patient, this guy will grow out of it eventually. is no excuse to enable somebody. You're actually working against him. Not only so, but the people that he or she is hurting. Number three is, well, when other people would say this guy's got a problem, I would say, nah, you just don't understand him. And I found out later that this was the very excuse the narcissist himself used, and a lot of them use, is that when they get caught in a lie, or they get caught scamming somebody, or they get caught hurting somebody, their response is, no, this is a big misunderstanding. You don't really realize what's going on here. It wasn't me that hurt this person. It was this person that hurt me. That's the story that the narcissist tells. And when I was an enabler, that is a story that I don't know that I actually told anybody that, but that was the mindset that I had. Okay, some people have a problem with this guy. It's a big misunderstanding. If they just got to know him the way that I've gotten to know him, all would be well. So maybe you've had a love interest and a love relationship, and people are telling you, maybe you're just don't understand this person. So maybe you don't realize truly what's going on here. So hang in. It's just a big misunderstanding. And usually the narcissist, I say usually, I don't know, there are exceptions to this, I'm sure there are, but typically a narcissist will say, yeah, it's a big misunderstanding. I didn't do what you accused me of doing. And I've said this in other videos, a narcissist can be caught on videotape stealing, and they will deny it. They're caught on video. But what they'll say is something akin to, no, I was borrowing this thing, that they were stealing, or I was going to put it back, or no, I was just checking it out. They have this story, this odd story that they can always explain what they were doing. And when you are an enabler, you tend to think the same way. Just a big misunderstanding. Number four is denial, in that the narcissist behavior is not really as bad as you are making it out to be. That is an excuse enablers make because they don't realize that they are the victim. Now, once you realize that you have been victimized or scammed or whatever by the narcissist, that denial, it just disappears. It evaporates. Yes, it actually is bad. In fact, it's probably worse than even I think it is, speaking as someone who's been victimized. But before you are discarded, before you realize how serious your abuse is, the narcissist abusing you is, you tend to be in denial and don't even know it. You just think, well, it's not that bad. I mean, sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. What you find happening is this guy wears two hats. The first time you met him, he wore let's change the analogy. He wears one hat. When you first met him, he wore a white hat, like the good guy in the cowboy movies. But then after the love bombing, you notice the hat started to turn a little bit gray. The guy in the black hat, that's the bad guy, right? So the longer you know this guy, the darker the hat gets. And there comes a point where you realize, I was deceived. This guy's always worn a black hat. He just convinced me that it was white. So he is a black hatter pretending to be a white hatter. Does that make sense? I thought it was a pretty good analogy. You let me know what you think in the comments. So number five is just flat out exaggeration. That this is something akin to denial. But what we will do is we will exaggerate the individual's, the narcissist, good points, and we will under-exaggerate the person's bad points. So this is kind of like saying it's a big misunderstanding. It's kind of like denial. But we just totally, completely blow the thing way out of proportion. And a lot of that is because we just, like number one, we're blinded. We just don't get it because we haven't realized how much damage this person is doing to our lives because they're very subtle about it. They're very sneaky. Sometimes they're very savvy, and they pride themselves on that, the fact that they are fooling us. So we exaggerate their strong points, and we under-exaggerate their weak points. Number six is sometimes we will appeal to their history. That is to say, we'll say something to the effect that this narcissist had a rough upbringing, and so the reason he is behaving the way he is behaving is because, You know, what would you do if you had been abused as a child? That's kind of a weak argument, but still we think in those terms. Because there are so many people who were raised in very abusive environments who didn't turn out to be narcissists. They didn't turn out to be abusive. In fact, if anything, they turned out just the opposite because they know the severity of abuse. They know how harmful and hurtful it is. So I have learned that narcissists, by and large, are not affected so much by their history, but by their genetics. Now, they're influenced by, everyone is influenced by environment to some degree. It's why we speak English. It's because, we're influenced by English speakers. So everyone is influenced by our environment, but by and large, their history has nothing to do with it. And by the way, when it comes to narcissists, sometimes we say that they are narcissistic because they had a privileged childhood. They had a privileged upbringing. They were put on a pedestal and they were kind of worshipped by their parents who told them they could do nothing wrong. That's the exact opposite. So you could have the same individual, the same narcissist, and you could have one person say that he's a narcissist because, well, he came from a very privileged background, and somebody else would say he's a narcissist because he came from an abusive background that you just didn't know about it. Maybe he's a narcissist because he's got a genetic predisposition to narcissistic behavior, and enabling him or her isn't helping the matter at all. Okay, number 7 is this. We would use this excuse as an enabler. I have no problem with this person, or I've never had a problem with this person, so what's your big deal? Maybe you're just misreading him. That is a pathetically lame excuse, but I got to tell you, that's an excuse that I used when I was befriended by a narcissist. I never had a problem with him. Well, actually, I did. I just didn't recognize it. This guy was taking things from me and taking advantage of me and abusing me, and I thought I was being nice to the guy. I thought of it in terms of this is a person who is kind of a little quirky, and he needs a friend to come alongside and support him and help him out. So I saw it as me helping a person in need, whereas he saw it as a grifter scamming me because I was so stupid. Turns out, he was right. He was scamming me because I was naive and gullible. I don't like to call myself stupid, but okay, I was dumb. Sounds better. Do you see those 2 rectangles on the screen? If you like what you heard, just click one of those 2 rectangles, and we can keep on talking, keep hanging out. If not, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all next time.